In this quick demonstration, we've got a tug, and I've attached it to a barge. This is more normally what a student would do. The student would do the fixing the tow lines onto the barge. You'd have a student here in charge of the winches, and where they put the tow lines. So if I hover the mouse over the tow line, you can see you've got veer, pay out, winch and stop. I've got stop on the winch at the moment. Currently the tow line will be slack, lying in the water. I've also deliberately put the tow line onto one of the bow bollards, offset to one side, to demonstrate the effect on the tow, on the tug. On the radar screen, the radar is set up as what's called head up, so it's matching the view out through the bridge at the front of the ship. And the ECDIS chart displays, I've got it on dual display, one on a fairly large scale, one zoomed in, as I would do normally when I'm navigating. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to have a view out the back of the tug and tow, and so you can see there's a barge lying in the water astern of us. Now I'm going to open up the revs on the engine, and because I've put a stop on the winch line, what should happen is the winch line that's lying slack in the water, as the tug starts to move, it's in real time. I'll just ease off on the revs. That tow line is going to come up rather sharp. If I open the revs too hard on that tow, then the tow line would have snapped. I'm going to put the helm hard over, and you can instantly see what the effect on the barge is. All going completely to pot because I've put the tow line onto the quarter of the barge. And there's useful little teaching exercises like that about the effect of where you put the tow point onto the barge, which I can use for very, very short lessons. Also in the background you can see Bombketch Lake, and you can see there's a South Cardinal buoy. There's actually a South Cardinal beacon lying off the mud, so the bridge simulator is also really, really useful for teaching about navigation marks, the effects of tide, the effects of wind and all the rest of it. Now that I've put the engine into neutral, it's all going to go horribly wrong for the barge skipper, because you've got the recoil on the tow line, and we've also got a rising tide that's setting me up the channel towards Fareham. So any second now it'll be an almighty dang and lots of swearing from the crew on the tug, because I've just put a dent in the back of the tug. I'll just give a little bit of revs just to pull us off of the tug, off of the barge again. So having had the students screw up on where they actually put the tow line onto the barge, there'll then be some communication between the students about what they've done wrong, and the student who's on the winch lines over here can then say, oh, hang on a sec, yeah, this is silly, let's take the tow line off of here, let go, and we'll manoeuvre the tug forward a bit, but just for the sake of argument, because I haven't got much time here, I'll just show you how you would attach. It's currently on veer, so I can stop that, and I can even winch in on that tow line. Let's zoom out a bit.
Did Ed tell you about the...
And then I can move the tow line from here, let go. Okay, as an instructor, I'm actually going to move the tug to save a bit of time. I'll reposition the tow line from the winch onto the bollard here as it should be. Sorry, correction. There you go. Rotate the tug around. So it's actually pointing in the right direction. And then I'll reattach the tow line onto here, put a stop on the tow line. Now if the student starts motoring ahead, the tug and tow should all behave itself and be able to motor out of Portsmouth quite happily. You can also set up multiple tows onto the barge and winch on one and let go on the other, so that you can actually steer or ferry glide the barge across. This is just one barge. I can simulate all sorts of tugs and barges in the exercise.